Oh boy, where to start with this one? Okay, so first off, I guess I should mention that I do generally enjoy the two previous sequel films. Like, they don't hold a candle to the original trilogy, but I don't hate them either. Each has things about them that I like, and things about them that I don't like. And I think that my feelings are generally about the same with this final entry, The Rise of Skywalker. However, it kind of felt a little bit all over the place, particularly in the first act. There's tons of exposition, tons of locations, everybody's jumping around from place to place, chasing after or running away from things, and I wasn't entirely sure a lot of the time what the characters were trying to do or why. It settles down by the halfway point though, and from there it's mostly smooth sailing. This is the first and only time in this new trilogy that I really felt any sort of group camaraderie between the three lead characters, Rey, Finn, and Poe. All three of these actors are giving solid performances, and the film does a great job of showing their dynamics, how they rely on each other's strengths, and even how they bicker and argue when they can't agree on something. It gave me slight shades of the Luke, Han, and Leia dynamic from the original trilogy, something that I think was severely lacking in the previous two movies. They also did a surprisingly good job at incorporating some of the legacy characters who have kinda gotten pushed off to the side until now, like Chewbacca, C-3PO, R2-D2, etc. I liked Kylo Ren for the most part. I think he's easily the most interesting character, not just in this film, but of the entire trilogy. Adam Driver is great as usual, and I was overall satisfied with the directions that his arc takes him in. Although there was one part right at the end that I found to be super cringy, and I don't think I was alone. It was supposed to be this big dramatic moment in the climax of the movie, but basically the entire theater was snickering because it just felt really silly. Likewise, I found every scene featuring Leia to be a bit weird. Of course, I don't really blame anyone for that. It was always going to be a challenge, including her in this film, given the fact that Carrie Fisher passed away a couple of years ago, and they did the best that they could under the circumstances at scraping together whatever extra footage they had from previous films in order to include Leia in Rise of Skywalker. But like, every time there was a dialogue exchange between her and somebody else, almost everything Leia says are just little things that could be responses to just about anything, so nearly the entire conversation is always being directed by the other party. It felt to me a lot like this.
Wow, it seems like you had a great time with the Super Adventure Club, Chef.
Yeah.
But now that you're back here, does that mean you're not in the Super Adventure Club anymore?
No.
Well, it seems like the Super Adventure Club was just what you needed, Chef. You must be feeling very happy that you found a club to belong to with new friends, but that you can also live here in South Park with all your old friends whom you care for deeply. Right?
That's right. Randy!
Obviously not to that extent where it's being played for laughs, but you get the idea. It was very distracting. I also think there were too many new characters. A few of them should have probably either been cut or consolidated because they just eat up way too much screen time that could have been better served with the returning cast. Lando Calrissian's role in this film basically just amounts to a cameo. Honestly, Billy D. Williams seems kind of bored to me, and while she is in several scenes, I can't think of a single thing that Rose Tico actually does in this movie. BB-8 similarly does practically nothing. One thing that's had a lot of people very excited, myself included, was the return of Emperor Palpatine, and I thought that he was hit and miss. Ian McDiarmid does an admirable job with the material he's given, but the material he's given doesn't amount to much. The character feels absolutely crowbarred into this screenplay for no other reason except that they couldn't figure out what to do after Snoke was killed in The Last Jedi. I wouldn't throw this accusation around lightly, but the quote-unquote big reveal concerning Palpatine, you'll know it when you get to it, honestly felt to me like a crappy fan fiction. It was really off-putting and I didn't care for it at all. Of course, The Rise of Skywalker features several lightsaber battles. I was kind of bummed out though because my favorite one by far was the first one, which makes some really creative use of the Force and the characters surrounding. So when the fights only got less interesting from there, it was a bit of a letdown. Honestly, the big set-piecey one featured in the trailer with this big ocean area was probably my least favorite. I think the biggest problem with this movie is that it just utterly fails to bring any sort of adequate conclusion to even its own trilogy, let alone the entire 9-episode Star Wars saga, which it's being marketed as. Even Revenge of the Sith, which, for the record, I think is a worse film in most of the ways that matter to me.
It's treason. then
was just a much more satisfying and cohesive finale to its own trilogy. These 3 sequels can't even seem to keep it straight what the story is supposed to be from movie to movie. You've got plot threads being set up in The Force Awakens, severed in The Last Jedi, and now in some cases retconned by Rise of Skywalker. Just as a small example to avoid major spoilers, there's no explanation offered at all for how or when Rey fixed Luke's lightsaber that got destroyed in the last movie. She just has it still, as if nothing ever happened. Come to think of it, we still have no idea where the fuck Maz Kanata got the lightsaber in the first place.
where'd you get that?
A good question. For another time.
Oh yeah, when's that time gonna be, Maz? Episode 12, Revenge of the George?
I may have gone too far in a few places.
I don't know, guys. I'm struggling with this one. I liked a lot of the character beats, the acting is all good, it's visually stunning, the action is enjoyable, but the overall impression it left me with was just kind of bleh. Nothing that great, nothing that terrible, acceptable. It's very watchable, but it's certainly not a satisfactory conclusion to what I guess we're now calling the Skywalker saga. In a couple of years, when we inevitably start to hear rumblings of episode 10, I hope to God that they get, like, a plan together first before they just start throwing darts at the wall. Oh well, at least we've still got Baby Yoda. And if you liked this video, you'd be doing me a huge favor if you could hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on all of my future stuff. Leave a comment down below to let me know any of your thoughts on The Rise of Skywalker, maybe tag your spoilers just to be nice for the people who haven't seen it yet, and check out some of the other great stuff I've got up here on my channel. As always, thanks so much to all of you guys for watching, and take care.